Hello and welcome to the Strategic Bookkeeper podcast. In today's episode, I am dropping in the audio version of the recent workshop that I ran called the 7 Steps to a Thriving Practice. I feel like all of this is quite the tongue twister, either that or I've got afternoon brain. The reason I would love for you to listen is really so that you can learn the 7 steps to a thriving practice. I share everything that you need, the 7 steps to solve 5 key problems. Okay, you're going to learn all about those problems inside the workshop. And the reason I thought I would share it with you is that the workshops that I ran in 3 time zones, so that everyone all around the world could pick a time zone and come in and workshop how to thrive in their bookkeeping practice with me. The reason I'm sharing this is because the workshop went incredibly well, meaning that the attendees told me that it was super high value and that they were going to be able to really move the needle in their bookkeeping practice using the content. I was very grateful to hear attendees thank me for sharing my heart and my soul, which is absolutely true. And so we'll jump into the episode so you can listen podcast style to the 7 steps to a thriving practice. I'll see you in there. I'm Jeannie Savage, the Strategic Bookkeeper. I've been in practice for 14 years, but more importantly, 5 years in, I achieved a lifestyle practice. This means I scaled my business, could take my hands off the wheel, and draw a nice 6-figure income while being time rich. And that's what I call my dream on my terms. I was recently awarded Women in Finance Innovator of the Year, recognizing my book, my podcast, my program, and my impact globally. The Strategic Bookkeeper is my life's work, and the opportunity to help bookkeepers globally achieve the income and lifestyle that sets them free absolutely fills my cup. Please do connect with me on socials at the Strategic Bookkeepers Way private Facebook group, or shoot me an email, hello@thestrategicbookkeeper.global. Hello. Good morning. Well, it is morning here. I think it's evening for you guys. And actually on that note, as you come into the room, so hello, I am Jeannie Savage. I am the Strategic Bookkeeper, something I am very proud of. I would love to know where you're coming in from. What time is it? Just give me a hey in the chat. Just want to connect with everyone as you come into the room. So yeah, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. This one is primarily we did this for kind of the US, Canada time zone. And I'll let you know, I love pointing to resources, something I love doing. So there's a great book called When by Daniel Pink. I like the summary version on one of the summary apps, but it will really help you understand whether you are a lark, a bird, or a night owl. I train around mindset, productivity, as well as the mechanics. Today, we're going deep on the mechanics primarily. I can never not do mindset, so we'll do a bit today because mindset and productivity is how I really facilitate the mechanics working. But in terms of productivity, The Science of When by Daniel Pink is fantastic. Personally, I found the summary. So I use the Blinkist app. I don't know if anyone tries that one. Remember, it's tax deductible because I'm always educating myself. I would say every week I'm doing at least a couple of hours, if not more, of really high level education. Okay, so just dropping that one in, I think it's transformational, and you'll learn why all elective surgeries, not emergency, are done in the morning when you have a look at that book. But productivity, my friends. Okay, when I see bookkeepers succeed and fail, sometimes one of the reasons they're failing is mindset and productivity, a lot of the time, actually. Okay, so we've got another event next week. Maybe we'll get more time on that next week. Full gratitude for cameras on. Just want to say thank you. We get a lot of the American Canadian audience, and it's, to be honest, it's always a fantastic interactive audience that comes in and connects with me. So love this. So it's 7:06. Let's get cracking. And before we do, I'm just going to let you know how I roll rather than the agenda, okay? So my top values are courage and honesty, which would speak a lot to how I roll, okay? Closely after that is authenticity and kindness. So you'll find me very authentic. My slides are here as a guide. Okay, and this is a workshop, not a presentation. All right, I am a high-end veteran bookkeeper and high-end business coach who has helped businesses go from 0 to 7 figures in 6 months. That's probably my biggest result I've had with a client. So you're in front of a high-end business coach today. Use me. Okay, this is a workshop, not a presentation. So I'm going to be looking at some notes. I'm going to be looking at notes on one screen, presenting on another. I'll be pausing to check where I'm up to, making sure that I respect my material and I respect you, my audience. Okay, because what I want today is to facilitate change. Okay, so in a second, we'll share a resource folder, and inside that resource folder, you're going to have a little workbook, okay, that primarily you can use today. And then after the event, I have given you something called the My Business Playbook. Actually, it's exactly what I've used in my businesses. And I remember when I'd completed one that took me years and years and years. Well, they're never completed. They're always ongoing. And I gave it to Pedra, who's in the room. And she said to me, I've never seen anything like this. This is fantastic. We're also crystal clear. So I've given you that resource today as well to use in your practice. And the other thing is, this is the beginning, not the end. I would love to continue the conversation with you. I'm not going anywhere. You'll find me on social media. You can email me, you can message me, you can interact with me in the Facebook group. All right, you are in the 7 steps to a thriving practice workshop. Now, I'm going to make an assumption looking in the room that nobody has been to this workshop before, but if you have been to the 7 steps before, could you please let me know in the chat box? All right, next thing, for me to help you, I need to know how much you know about me. So, have you read my book, yes or no, in the chat box, please? Okay, great. Usually I get a mix of yes, no, and I'm halfway through. So in your resource pack today, which we can drop into the chat box, I've actually given you a copy of the ebook. And I've given you the audiobook files. The book is published globally, available at every bookstore. I think it's even on eBay these days. So my favorite version is the audiobook. It's less than 6 hours long. Everything I build for the busy multitasking parent, because that's me. And I just have a lot of empathy, all right? So I want to help you learn on the go. I actually don't want to ask you for extra time. I want to ask you for the time where you're multitasking, plus when you're implementing anything that I give you, primarily, I want to try and get you implementing on the job. That said, so you've got my book, my podcast, my program, okay? My recommendation to you to move forward and kick the goals in your bookkeeping practice, whether you're at conceptual stage or you're in practice, is to really give yourself to me and my content narrowly until you've digested it all, okay? So outside my program, so I have book, podcast, program, and some other things to help you. Outside of my program, use my book, use my podcast, and then in my book, you have workbooks, playbooks, so that you can build out everything that you need. Now, that's the extra work. My program is actually a done for you primarily. If you did come into my program, then because it's a done for you, that's why we just want you implementing on the job. So I think of it like a toolkit that you reach into and you grab what you need when you need it. Right? That's the way I think of it. Okay. Now, comments, questions, suggestions in the chat box. Okay. So anything that you want to say, ask, just pop it in the chat box. Again, this is a workshop, not a presentation. Okay. And I can only be as clear as I know I'm being. So if I'm not being clear or something doesn't make sense, please feel free to name it in the chat box. Okay. So thank you for letting me know, because those of you who've read my book, this event's going to be different today. Those of you who haven't, it's newer, okay? So you're going to have the replay. So when you read my book, you can listen to this podcast style. You can absolutely listen to this event podcast style. So Dave, thank you. Looking to land bigger clients and set myself apart. Set myself apart. Yeah, competitive advantage. I love this. Okay, so Dave, we will absolutely dive into that today, workshop style. So we've dropped the resources in. You'll get an email later. Now, this is a very important slide to me. So I'd like us all to set ourselves up for success today. Okay, so I want us all to just kind of roll our shoulders, take a breath, stretch if you need to. Yeah, wiggling around. What we need to do is be 100% present, let go of fear, be open, honest, and vulnerable. So no multitasking, no fear, and no, I know. In fact, from today onwards, if the only thing that you took away from this workshop was that you never said the phrase, I know again, I would be so happy, because I know closes us off to personal and professional growth. In my life, I try and be very aware if I ever say that, okay? And generally you won't hear me say that. You'll hear me say yes, or yeah, or interesting. Okay, so I really think the phrase "I know" often comes from a place of fear, okay, of shame, of feeling like we're going to get caught out for not knowing it all. Even if we know, there is room to know more. Okay, so failure is not the absence of success. It is absolutely not. Like, if you want to know how I've got where I've got today, in the words of my father, people often say, oh, you're so smart, right? Yes, I'm an intelligent person, so are all you, right? And my father says, you're relentless. And that means I keep going. I don't give up. Okay, so failure is not the absence of success. Failure is giving up. Okay, if Edison had have given up, we wouldn't have the light bulb, okay? I think he failed 1,000 times before he succeeded. And this slide is just, it's so important to me, okay? So 100% present is so, I'm 100% present. And if you give me that, I can help you much more today, okay, rather than multitasking. So open, honest, vulnerable. Now, just coming to Adam, learning more about what you do to better understand the challenges that bookkeepers face daily. Oh, you are definitely going to get those. And hopefully introduce you to more Aussie bookkeepers who can benefit from your program. Oh, fantastic, Adam. That is, what a wonderful thing to say. Thank you. All right, so this is a 90-minute workshop. All right, so I want you to reflect on where you are now, right? So you've got these resources, you've got that workbook. In the workbook, I'm asking you, why did you come here today? And please feel free to put that in the chat. Okay, so the more I understand about you, the more I can help you. Okay, so it's like, okay, why did you come here today? And it's not actually up to you to make sense of that. I like making sense of that. Okay, so why did you come here today? Reflect on where you are now. As I share in a second, there's going to be a big opportunity to do that. Learn from each other, ask me anything. Please do workshop things and make notes. In your workbook, you'll see there's 5 key problems, and I'd really like you to think about how you're trying to solve those now. Also in the chat box, would you mind letting me know how long you've been in practice, or if you're still at conceptual stage? In the event of any tech issues, I've got a backup computer. I'll get it ready. Just try and come back in, okay? Let's have a look. Amber, I'm currently taking my bookkeeping certification just at the very beginning. Fantastic, Amber. I'm very passionate about bookkeepers right at the beginning for many reasons. One, I so remember being there with a dream in my heart. 2, there is an opportunity for you not to make mistakes, okay? So whenever I meet a bookkeeper who's not there yet, I'm going to say to you that once you are 12 weeks or less out from opening the doors to your practice, which is kind of that, it's a virtual thing, right? Because we don't open physical doors. But once you are 12 weeks or less out from acquiring your first client, I would so love you in my program so that I can help you maximize and build a Ferrari rather than a broken down car. Okay, so that's a little analogy we use inside my program. So Jill, been with CPA for 10 years, starting on my own, and need to learn how to get clients. So Jill, the same thing applies to you. Okay, and you do need to learn to get new clients, but just as importantly, which is the mistake I made at the early on, you need to know what to do with them. And Jill, we're going to dive into that today. So Dave, freelance full-time since 2020, full-time bookkeeper since 2017. Great. So you've been in practice for a while, freelancing, Dave. So that is great. Cheryl, further education I need much as possible. I'm just, yeah, okay, lots of just starting out. My goodness, exciting. So my program, just so you know, it's like a bookkeeping practice in a box. Okay, that's how it's been described, and that's why I'm passionate about those conceptuals. 80% of the program participants are in practice, either a year or 20 years, and 20% are conceptual startups. Okay. I can also help you with smart naming of your business as well. Okay. So Adam, not a bookkeeper yet. I meet with bookkeepers every week. Fantastic. Suzanne, Intuit certified with one client. Okay. I love this early on. Looking to start bookkeeping. Okay. Fantastic. Now, just for our so Chris and Susan who've just come through, welcome. We have just 20 minutes in, so I'm just going to keep going, but if you could just drop into the chat box, are you conceptual or are you in practice? What have you come here to get today? The other thing is, I'd really love you to grab the resources that we just dropped in and open the workbook if you'd like to use that. Okay, and I'm going to continue on now. So what I want to do now is I want to share my story to support you. So as it relates to you and your journey. Okay. So as I share my story, the thing that I want to help you with, I want you to look at what you can relate to. I want to connect to the problems that we're here to solve and that you need to solve in your bookkeeping practice. Problems I faced and solved myself. I want you to use your workbook, make notes, ask me anything. Now, this is all completely unscripted. It's different every time I share it. Okay. Thank you so much, Suzanne. And during this, it's time to reflect. So once again, where are you now? Where have you come from? Why you're here running your own practice? These are all things I'll share, and I want you to think about that for yourself. What do you really want? Okay. And ask me anything while I'm sharing in the chat, anything. Okay. And I'll keep my eye on the time too. I want you to get lots of bang for buck today. Your buck is your time, just as valuable as money, for some of us even more. Okay. So this is me at the beginning of my journey 15 years ago. Okay, so I'm sharing with you some photos from when I started my bookkeeping practice. So on the left-hand side, it's me with my beautiful twins, my stepchildren who came into my life when they were 4. So in this picture, they must be about 9, and my little boy is obviously in my belly, and I love this photo. It was one of the happiest times in my life. In the middle is after he was born. This one was taken by a local newspaper doing a story on us having done IVF. And on the very right-hand side is my first ever headshot. And I remember the day that was taken. I'd come through my front gate and I was just in my yard, and my sister took this photo of me, and I had not very long had my baby. I might have even just come home, and I was covered in that pregnancy pigmentation, the brown. And then once I started my bookkeeping practice, of course I needed a headshot, but like a lot of us, I had no budget for anything, right? It was way back in 2010, the global financial crisis had hit. We had 2 mortgages. We had to start living out of our overdraft. There was no budget, right? And so my sister took this photo and she photoshopped all my brown marks off my face. And I used this headshot for a few years, okay, before I developed my own website. After I talk about in my book, I thought I could hire professionals in the marketing space. Then I thought marketing professionals will know what they're doing. And unfortunately, I discovered that that's not usually the case. We have to lead all of this stuff. So eventually I got new headshots as I developed my own website that worked incredibly well and really took my business to the next level. Okay. Little side note there, a website won't win you work, but it is an important part of the customer journey. Okay. So just to share a bit more, so how I got into bookkeeping. So I was working for a public company, so 15, 16 years ago, and they were making everyone redundant, and I was doing IVF. I was really tired. I was really looking forward to the break. So actually I was so happy when they said they were going to make everyone redundant. But then they called me into the office and they said, well, we'd like you to contract back to us. And I didn't want to. I just wanted a break. So I gave them a go away rate. I'll just bring one more person in. I gave them a go away rate. It was about double what they were paying me hourly, right? And I thought they'll just say no. And they didn't. They said, they didn't flinch. They said, okay, that's fine. And there's a lesson in that for all of us. okay? Because today we're going to look at pricing, and I would say 100% of us almost, yeah, as bookkeepers in practice early on in our journey have a lot of limiting beliefs and a lack of education around pricing and more. So I just want to, I've just never heard the term go away rate before. Oh, why don't we do that? You know, I can't remember if anyone's ever said no to a go away rate, but there's a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini, and he gives evidence for when somebody accidentally doubled prices and they sold out. So there's a whole lot there, but basically there's a lesson in that, right? That my perception, my limiting belief was that somebody wouldn't pay double for my services, for my outcomes, and yet they didn't flinch at it. Okay, so that's the first lesson. So I subcontracted to that public company for the whole duration of my pregnancy, right up to the day before I had my son. And then after that, I took a big break. But because the GFC had hit and we were living out of our overdraft, I would lay in bed at night worrying about it, thinking I'm not going to tell my husband because he'll just get really, really stressed. Only one of us needs to be stressed right now. But I needed to go back to work sooner. So I decided, okay, well, I don't want to work for the man. I want freedom and flexibility. So, which is what we all go into it for. And unfortunately, 9 out of 10 of us end up far more stuck than we do in a job. Okay. So basically, so I decided, okay, I'm going to start my own gig. Yeah. And I kind of put it out there, and I think just easily accidentally I picked up my first client who had 2 Baskin Robbins ice cream stores, because the public company I was working for, they had the Baskin Robbins licensing in Australia. Okay, so we're going to look at today the 5 definitive ways that you'll find clients, and one of them is that existing network, and it always will be. Okay, so that's how I found my first client. So then in that first 5 years, like, I'm going to pivot across to the problems here as we talk about this. So as a bookkeeper in practice, opening the doors, serving my first clients, I needed to solve these problems. I needed to be able to find new clients, right? And I needed to be able to convert them irrespective of price. I didn't understand that back then. Okay, I thought just find lots of clients, make lots of sales, and I'll build a great business. And that's not true. What that does, just having a look, Suzanne, at yours. Oh, we're going to cover this one, Suzanne. Okay, so Suzanne, I get that you feel like because there's, maybe a lack of QuickBooks Online skills, that even though I did change from Sage to QB, okay? So a big misconception, Suzanne, is that our technical ability will win us clients. Now, our technical ability is important to do the job, okay? But it's not what will win you clients. So I was building busy, not thriving, without knowing it, because like almost every bookkeeper at the beginning of our journey, I thought, yes, just win lots of work. And then within a year, I was like, oh, I've got more work than I can handle. And I thought, just charge out a rate that's a lot more than I got paid as an employee. This is fantastic. Keep building. And I'm going to, take over the world with this business. And so I employed my first person. I didn't understand leadership. I didn't understand management. Okay. And so I just thought recruit someone and that kind of thing. And so what happened was that I got a few years in and the revenue was going right up. I was always good at finding new clients. And in fact, there was a time where I picked up 1 new inquiry a day. The revenue was going up, but because I was employing staff, the profit wasn't going up commensurate with the revenue, even if I early on had really good systems. I had really good SOPs, okay? But it's not what works. So basically, I didn't really have anything where I could convert them irrespective of price. So it was all hustle. Now, I am a conversion ninja. I could still convert them, but if you're not able to convert on value and outcomes and really be able to convert someone at twice the rates, then it's also harder to retain them. So I would say number one, I was nailing, but the other four, I definitely was not. Okay. So these are the problems we all need to solve. Now, I actually had a special needs child, and so early on it was quite hard. And I got a couple of years into my bookkeeping practice, and my marriage started falling apart. And I tried for 3 years, but after 5 years, my marriage failed. And at the end of that 5 years, I was physically, emotionally, and spiritually spent. I was really sick. I was on cortisone. I was on antibiotics. Now, 5 years into my bookkeeping practice journey, or it's about 5 or 6, I finally scaled into a bookkeeping practice that gave me the income and the time. Okay, so it was at this point, so I'm 5 or 6 years in, and I am very unwell, okay, spiritually, physically, mentally. But I'd got my bookkeeping practice to a point where it had scaled, and I'd really solved these problems 5 years in primarily, okay, and I was able to pull out a nice six-figure income, like, phew, that's security, food on the table, and I was able to actually take heaps of time off. So I was able to take the best part of 2 years off and prioritize myself, learn to put myself first. Okay, so I survived. And so then I'm going to go to my next one. So what that meant for me, so this is when I took my time off. So what that meant for me, achieving that, like being able to have the income, but also the time wealth. Okay, that meant that I could spend that time prioritizing what was important to me, and that was getting myself well. Okay, so my son was 5 or 6, and this is me when I went. So during that 2 years off, I jumped on a sailboat with a friend. We sailed from the Gold Coast to the Whitsundays. I love this photo because it is one of the happiest times of my life as well. During that 2 years, I got private Latin dance lessons. I was just performing on the Sunshine Coast on the weekend. I just flitted around. And one of my friends actually said to me, I want a bookkeeping practice because I just looked like I was never working, but I was still having that six-figure income because my bookkeeping practice was working without me. Now, it was at that time when I was going through a really hard time, and then I was enjoying this time afterwards, because my top values, or top human needs rather, are growth and contribution. It might be part of why. And I also think just our purpose in life, there was this desire in the pit of my stomach to take everything I'd learned and built and one day help others. I wanted, particularly women, because I'm a woman, I just wanted to reach women all around the world that were going through what I was going through. Because if I hadn't have built that income and that time, then I would have been stuck in a marriage that had become toxic. He's a wonderful man, and we co-parent beautifully to this day. He was just here before, but we didn't survive the pressures of what was going on. And so many people end up stuck in situations because of money, because they get robbed of choice because they don't have the money. So the money came, and then if the money comes without the time, that's a disaster. If you don't have time to prioritize the things that are important to you, it's a disaster. Okay, so a deep desire was sparked within me to help others. All right, and it was after the 2 years that I took off that I decided I would think about taking everything I'd built and learnt and built, and one day package it up in a way that served others. So at the beginning of last year, I shared my secrets to success in a tell-all book, a companion podcast to continue the conversation, and I launched my program. Okay, and we have about 100 members in there right now, knocking it out of the ballpark. And this is me today. So just recently, on the left-hand side, this is my crazy bunch. My partner and I coincidentally both have 14-year-old Asperger's children, so lots of empathy from him. So that's people are always like, how did that happen? How did you meet someone with a child that had the same, challenges as yours. They're very, very different, but it is hilarious in our household. On the right-hand side, this is late last year at the Zero Software Awards. And the thing that I love about this photo is I feel like it showcases my greatest success, and might be different to what you're thinking. I feel my greatest success is my health. I truly, truly believe my health is my wealth. Your health is your wealth. And I look healthy. I look happy. I am so full of purpose and joy in this photo. And that's why I love it. And we can drop a link now into something called the Healthy Bookkeeper. It's just a passion project. It's a private Facebook group where I jump on and I share around health. I did a couple of videos yesterday, so we can share that in case you'd like to connect with me around health. So comments, questions, suggestions in the chat box, because the reason I shared all that is to connect to you, connect to your journey, right? Connect to where you are now, where you've come from, what's happening for you in terms of income, time, purpose, joy. Where do you want to be in the future? Okay, so we've shared with you, and in your workbook, you'll see that I've said, please listen to episode 74 of my podcast. It's called Plan for Success. And you're going to be able to do some powerful planning there, okay? Just looking at the chat box. So Adam, health is the greatest form of wealth. Absolutely, isn't it? It's just some of the simplest things, some of the things our grandma said are so true, right? Amber, I'm a nutritionist. Oh, you're speaking my language. I put food at the center of my health. And I also have a special needs son, so I have a lot of understanding here. And Amber, this is the thing that I find that bookkeepers all over the world just say, my goodness, Jeannie, our stories are so similar. Okay, so amazing. So keep everything, comments, questions, suggestions in the chat, and hopefully you're doing lots of reflection and using that workbook to do that, okay? And I'll catch up my notes and we'll move on. Okay, so if you're in this room today, you want to do better in business, right? To increase your income and or your time wealth, even if you're conceptual. That's an assumption I've made. So I'd love to know in the chat, okay, because as a coach, I know better than making assumptions. I'd just love to know if that's true, like, yep, that's why I'm here. Or if you would like to share with me another reason. You've already shared with me earlier why you're here, but does that also sum it up? Okay, because we can look at symptoms like problems. When we get a headache, especially for Amber as a nutritionist, we get a headache, and I've been changing up some things in my diet and I've reduced my headaches by 95%. A headache is a symptom. Okay, when bookkeepers tell me about their symptoms, all roads lead back to income, profit and time, profit and time. When we get the profit and time, then we can focus on purpose. When I got the profit and time out of my bookkeeping practice, which I've been running for 15 years now, it's called Cloud9 Strategic here in Australia. Okay. And when I got that profit and time and I took all the time off and I got well and I finally got a bit bored and wanted to shake things up, I was able to focus on purpose. And purpose is a strategic bookkeeper. Okay. That's what my deep desire. And I thought, I've been put on this planet to do that. Okay, so purpose. Once we can find our true purpose, once we've got the space, the income and time, the joy is incredible. So these are the things that I want for you. Okay. Suzanne says, been there, done that. Six husbands. Now I'm a widow with no ties, except I live with 4 adult children and 3 grandchildren in a 4-bedroom house. I love hearing this because it's just so much going on that we never, you know what I mean? Like, something I didn't share, Suzanne, is when my marriage ended and I had to fend for myself. I had to keep the house. I had to do all those things. I kept my stepdaughter when my marriage ended, and then my niece turned up to live with me, and I had my little one as well. So, as we take care of the ones that are under our roof, no matter how they land there, right? It's like, come on in. Okay, we'll figure it out. Okay. So Suzanne says, I am happy and could easily let this slide, but would rather build a little empire. I love this. Oh my goodness. An empire as a legacy for my 10+ grands and the world. I'm also a writer and a singer-songwriter. I'm a writer. Okay. I hope to publish a book a year. I love you're a singer-songwriter, full respect. Music is amazing. And when you said empire building, something that I did that I encourage you all to do, and I learned it through a podcast, was to come up with your top 3 priorities. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, even if this is not your top priority, I'm on a mission to inspire you to make this your top priority. You. Mums say to me, that's a joke. You're joking. Aren't you? My kids come first. No. My son said when he was younger, and I finally learned to put myself first, Mama, if you don't come first, yeah, if you don't put yourself first, if you're dead, you can't take care of me. It's like a punch in the face. It's really morbid, okay? But it's so true. Put your own oxygen mask on first. So top 3 priorities. Mine way back then, before I built the strategic bookkeeper, when I finally put myself first and got myself well. Yeah, me, then my young son, and then I called it my empire, Suzanne, which is another word for purpose. Okay, our empire is our purpose. Yeah. So just having a look, Dave, also looking to date, be more successful in business so I can spoil the right partner, right? Beautiful contribution. Also want to be able to give huge amounts to charitable causes. We do a bit of that ourselves, and inside the program, we actually have a whole thing on that. And I love that too. We're here to serve. We're here to give back. We're here to contribute. Okay. Flora, I am looking for a change and be able to better my life and be able to travel. Amazing. Love being a nutritionist, but after many years, I want more straightforward career where I can focus on my family. So love beta reading for authors. Oh, love it, Susie. I've just written another book and it's with the editors. So love it, love it, love it. Okay, fantastic. I'll keep us moving a bit so we can get to some really important problem solving stuff. So in terms of doing better in business, doing this starts with honesty, being honest with yourself, being honest with me, and that takes courage. And I can tell you, everyone in the room today is doing this right now. And this is usually something that I have to battle with, okay? So well done. Because this can be really hard to read and accept. But if you can accept these cold, hard facts, you can have the awareness, you can have the acceptance, you can take action, and you can try your hardest and allow me to help you to avoid being one of these statistics. 9 out of 10 bookkeepers are failing. It's a cold, hard fact. It's a business statistic. It's a global statistic. 9 out of 10 businesses are failing. Bookkeepers are not immune to this. We're part of the statistic. 9 out of 10 bookkeepers will fail to earn more than they could in a good job. Failing bookkeepers often just keep going. I was failing in my first 5 years. I just kept going. Luckily, I did. Okay, my husband was earning money at the time. I was able to. Sometimes circumstances don't permit that. I just kept going. And 9 out of 10 will build busy but not thriving practices. And I know because I was there. Be very careful of the bookkeeper who tells you that they are very busy. I was too, but busy doesn't mean thriving. Busy doesn't mean profitable, okay? So how I can help you. So as I said, I know I was there and now I'm here to help you. Something that absolutely fills my cup. And I'm going to help you through the 7 steps to a thriving practice, which you're going to learn about in my book. So today we'll scratch the surface, but then you have got a zillion hours of my content to educate yourself. And this is the 5 big keys, okay? Today you've put me on your team, okay? And today you are educating yourself. You are going to have to build key strategic assets that work, like a website, social media, and signature brochure. We'll look at that in a second. You're going to have to implement everything you learn and build. And then I recommend a mastermind group. Okay, I don't know if anyone's read Think and Grow Rich, but a mastermind group is proven to elevate our success. So this is the bookkeeping practice blueprint, and this is also how I'm going to help you today. We're going to dive into that shortly. This is an A3 poster that I've given you in your resources, created by me, and you can print it out, get it, frame it, and put it on your wall. Okay, we use this every day in my program. So these three resources is how we're going to look to solve these problems. So these problems are inside your workbook, and I'd really like you to just take a moment to look at that and just throw paint at the canvas in terms of what you're doing right now to solve these problems. Okay, so I'm just keeping my eye on the time. We're halfway through. So my son also told me this: self first. So grateful for your encouragement. Thank you, Suzanne. That just means the world to me. I've never heard someone tell me that their son said that too. I love that, because when my son said that, I was proud of myself for having done it and him having seen it and been with me, because we teach our children monkey see, monkey do. So when I do that, it's teaching him to put himself first. You know, I say to my son sometimes, who loves you, kid? And he used to say, oh, so many people, you, dad, you know, these days as a teenager going through puberty and shame creeping in and all the hard things where he might be negative and berate himself. When I say, who loves you, kid? He says, I love myself, mama. And and I say, sweetie, if you can do that, you'll go far. So, okay, moving on. So we've just talked about that. So I want to know how you're trying to solve the problem, because my job as your coach is direction and redirection. So imagine you're in a car and you are driving to a holiday destination that you love, okay? And you don't know that you've taken a wrong turn and you're going in the wrong direction. Business is exactly the same, okay? My job when you've taken a wrong turn, the truth is no less the truth when it's hard to hear. Okay. My job when you've taken a wrong turn is to say, oh, don't go that way. Go this way. Yeah. Or if you're just lost and you don't know where to go, my job is to give you direction. So direction and redirection, that's my job and I love doing it. Okay. So you go, and if you're using one of the strategies we look at in a minute and it's not working for you, that's okay. You just say, Jeannie, I'm doing that, but it's not working, right? So I can help you with that, okay? Because that gets bookkeepers down when they hear a bookkeeper say, oh, I just do referrals and I get so much work. And you think, I'm trying that, but it's not working. There's something wrong with me. I just do networking and I'm knocking it out of the ballpark. Well, I do networking and it doesn't work for me. There's something wrong with me. Number one, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need the right strategy and the detail. And number two, once again, that busy bookkeeper, if I lift the lid on their practice, they may not be doing the income in time. We've got bookkeepers join my program. Some of them are making up to $1 million revenue a year. So why do they join my program? Because they need to double their profits. Okay, revenue. Yeah, so what is this saying? That revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king, okay? So now I'm just going to go into the 7 steps. I always feel like I'm really inside my square here. So what's going to help me help you? I've got 2 slides. I've got the benefit of the 7 steps. So I'm actually going to start there. Okay, so the benefit of the 7 steps, which is quite linear. The 7 steps are linear, right? So you go brand, menu, attraction, conversion, succession, systems, and team. They're linear step by step. However, they don't work in isolation. They're like a secret sauce recipe that you need to combine to get the results. Okay, one of them in isolation won't work. For example, you can go find all the clients you want with client attraction, and I've seen this happen before. If you don't have the ability to convert them because your brand's not on point. And an example, so one of our bookkeepers who's new to my program, she hasn't yet built her results-based marketing, an important part of marketing layering. And because she was so new, she really didn't have everything in place. So a prospective client contacted her. She said, yeah, I can help you. Here's how I can help. So she didn't use our system because it was like she'd been in it a day, right? And this PC was really brutally honest. And again, the truth is no less the truth when it's hard to hear. And it was a male in this case. And he said, you've got no Google reviews, like you've got no reputation. I have no evidence for you being someone valuable. And she was so upset. But instead of taking the lesson, because that kind of feedback, it's actually neutral. We can think that's negative and somebody's having a go at us, but it's not. That's information. Okay, I'm just going to admit one from the waiting room. So that's information. Now, the smart thing to do there, even though it's very hard and you have to be vulnerable and it feels icky and it's a bitter pill to swallow, the smart thing is to say to yourself, oh, I just got some amazing information. That prospective client told me I need to go fast and furious and build out at least one review. I need some results-based marketing, and I need to figure out how to showcase my value. Do you know I have actually sent gifts to clients who've given me constructive criticism? I'll send a gift to a client that gives me negative feedback, not positive. I need the positive stuff every day of the week. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. It's the only way I can improve. Okay. So the 7 steps combined, one in isolation doesn't work. So just first, let's go to the benefits as I keep my eye on the time. So the benefit of combining these, and how I created them. So I just looked at how did I find success in my bookkeeping practice so I can have the recipe for everyone else. Well, I found it through the 7 steps: brand, menu, attraction, conversion, succession, systems, and team. Now, when you combine them, you build and maintain a highly profitable practice because the 7 steps solves all these problems. Okay. The 7 steps, when you combine them, and I'll give you examples inside the tribe and even my own practice included, but I love the examples from the tribe. So when you combine them, and I'll use, I'll hold one of our bookkeepers, Joe, in my mind. When she combined them all step by step, that's all she did. She built a pipeline of clients. So not only find new clients, but she had a pipeline. She's now on wait list. Okay. She was able to convert them irrespective of price. Okay. So she was able to have them, they couldn't press go fast enough, even though her rates could be double her competitors. She was able to stay competitive, and stay valuable in an environment with automation, AI, robotics, and cheap labor, because she knew how to connect to the outcome, the benefit, and number 5, sell advisory from the get-go. Level 1 advisory is investigating the numbers. You'll find all of this in my book. And for her, at that point, she dived into systems and team, because what can happen is when you can go over capacity. And why do we have systems? To keep our promises. Okay. If there's another thing you take away from today, nobody will ever tell you that. Say a systems are for efficiency and all this kind of thing. Okay. Keep our promises. So just to explain the 7 steps, the 7 ingredients, okay, and questions, comments, suggestions, throw them in chat box. If anything I am saying doesn't make sense, you need more information, you just want to share something openly, go for it. Okay. So your brand is why. Who's heard of the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek? It's famous. Most of us have heard of it. Fantastic. If you haven't, please grab it. Please read it. Either do the summary on one of the summary apps like Blinkist app. If as an entrepreneur, it's a must. You must read Start With Why. As a bit of a disruptor, I will say start with you. You don't need to start with why, you need to start with you. But you can send me an email or you can connect with me in Facebook and I'll explain Start With You a bit more. Okay, so great. Thank you, Chris. I'll put that. Simon Sinek, Start With Why. It is phenomenal. When you, and I mentioned that book in my book, okay, because your brand is your why. Now, if you had said that to me early on, I probably would have nodded and gone, because when you're early in business and it's kind, you feel embarrassed about how much you don't know. So much more powerful if we can muster the courage to just say, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. But basically, and that's, brand can be a bit hard to explain. So I like to start with what a brand is not. So early on, I thought if you said, what's a brand? I would have said, it's a logo. With confidence, I would have said that. It's a logo. Your brand is your logo. That's actually a brand asset. Brand assets are really, really important, but they're not very powerful unless they're built off a brand. Okay. So your brand, and why I say start with you, where it's an exercise in writing brand story, something called, other people call it origin story. Okay, so your brand is why you exist in the eyes of your client. It's the benefit of your services. It's your vision, your mission. Okay, so your brand is not what you do, the bookkeeping, your brand is why you do it. For example, to help people do better in business. It's one of the reasons I really help with business naming, okay, and stop bookkeepers in their tracks around their name, because I like to really connect the name of a bookkeeping practice to either the benefit or your brand story. Okay, so any questions on what I mean by that? But think about the benefits of your service, helping entrepreneurs do better in business, giving them pillar one for success, which is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping records, giving them peace of mind, helping them make informed business decisions. Okay, that's more of a vehicle. So what you do is like a vehicle. Why you do it is like the beautiful holiday destination. Okay, so your brand is your organization's personality and how you'll connect. If there was only one word I could use to describe brand, it would be connection. So you know how you as a human, like in the words of Brene Brown, we're here to connect. So you as a human, when you connect with other humans, it's about your inner soul and your personality. It's not the clothes you wear or what you look like. It's your you-ness. Your you-ness, and your brand is your organization's you-ness. And when you develop a real brand, okay, an organizational personality, which takes the combination of you and why you exist, like what you're showing up to actually solve. What problem are you solving? How are you solving it? So that's your vision and your mission, your why and your how. When you connect you and the problem, you create this connection with your audience, and nothing will compare to it. Okay, no marketing material, no nothing will compare to the way that you're able to connect to people, because you're going to attract your ideal tribe who love you and want to work with you. You are not for everyone, and your brand will set you up to connect with the right people. Okay, and once again, the benefit of brand combined with everything else is how you build and maintain that highly profitable practice. Okay. And I've had entrepreneurs say, I just thought it was about generating leads and making sales. And absolutely, that is an important part of it. But that's a bit like going out to a mass of people and putting your hand up and saying, be my friend, hang out with me, be my friend. That would be weird, right? And people would run away from you. That's the equivalent of trying to generate leads and convert clients without a brand. Okay, people run away from you rather than be drawn to you. A brand is the equivalent of being able to have a beautiful, intimate conversation where we deeply connect and have a beautiful moment 24/7 online. Okay, so comments, questions, suggestions, throw them in the chat box. So your menu is so I call it a menu, and in my book I explain why I call it a menu. And it's the most powerful key brand asset that I believe you ever create in your business. It is for both internal and external. First, it's for you and your team to get clear about your value proposition, okay, that you figure out in your brand. And the way that you present it is in a signature brochure. Okay, so in our program, because it's a done for you, thank you, Adam. So thinking about brand and menu, just so you know, because some of you haven't read my book, if you read my book, is like your DIY option. So in there, I give you a brand building playbook, a menu building playbook, an attraction playbook. Okay, I can't remember if we got a conversion playbook, but I give you, and my team, when I wrote my book, they said, Jeannie, these playbooks are really involved. Like there's a lot there and it seems pretty hard to do all that work. And I said, it is hard to build a brand and a menu and a signature brochure and productized services, right? but that's what's involved. So that's what I'm going to give everyone. And they, oh, okay, I get it now. And so that's your DIY version. The program is done for you. So when I was figuring out how I would help bookkeepers get results like that, I figured out I needed to do it for them. And I might get time to expand a little bit on that as we look at the 5 big keys. Okay. So we give you a done for you signature brochure because you get a group competitive advantage and a group power. All right. And you can find out more about that later. We can give you a link for that. But basically, think about signature brochure, which is going to stack your value. So remember that analogy around running into a crowd of people and putting your hand up and say, be my friend, hang out with me. And everyone's like, oh my goodness, move away from the crazy person. Right. So your signature brochure is the brand asset that's going to convey the wonderful personality that you have. Okay, it's going to stack your value with profile, results, unique selling proposition, competitive advantage, which is what we heard someone talk about at the beginning of the chat, right? It was like, I'm here we go, set myself apart. This is how you set yourself apart, okay? So your overcome objections that I already know are there, yeah? And call them to act. So that's an example. So client attraction, we're making good time. I feel like we're doing well here please do go to your workbook and make sure that you're thinking about the action that you need to take. And just to help you with that, you are going to think about, okay, if I'm at conceptual stage or I'm in practice and I'm thinking, I really need to find new clients, okay? I really need to find new clients. That's going to go on my action plan. I need to read Jeannie's book on my action plan, okay? I need to go and do that one she said is on plan for success, all right? So make sure that you're looking at the action you need to take, all right? So attraction, absolutely, how you attract clients to your brand. Yeah. How you find audience to put your brand in front of. Yeah. Then it's also how you nurture audience through the customer journey to become a pipeline of inquiries that drip through to you. So 5 years in, or 5 or 6 years into opening the doors to my practice, I had a pipeline. The truth is, I didn't fully understand all the elements that had created that pipeline. I'd created a lot of this, like I had incredible results-based marketing. I'd finally built a website that works based on what I understood. I was raised by iconic Australian entrepreneurs. My mother was a management accountant. My father was an internationally recognized sales trainer. So I became very good in management accounting and sales, right? So my brand story. So absolutely, I created a pipeline, but then I spent the next 5 years dissecting success and perfecting everything before I brought it to you. So if you ever meet a bookkeeper that has a pipeline, I promise you they've achieved some success around these things, okay? What I discovered though, when I had that pipeline some years later, it was pointed out to me that even though I had the 6-figure income and the time wealth, my business was ultimately breakable and shakeable. But when we figure out how this all works and we understand how to implement it, we create an unbreakable, unshakable business, okay? So, and an example of this is where I'm thinking of, actually, we've got a podcast with one of our bookkeepers, 2 Karens, Karen Andrews, Karen Thompson. So Karen Thompson recently had to go to a 12-week wait list because through the implementation of all these things, she is busy. We're helping her recruit a full-time person, but that can take up to 3 months. So she's just got to feel the pain. On the other side of pain is success, right? Pain precedes victory, in the words of Glenn Carlson. So conversion is how you convert 100% of the clients you want without price as a priority. We don't want every client that comes through, but generally you want to aim for 70% of inquiries easily turning into clients without price as a priority. Succession is how to package and sell advisory, which is first and foremost, investigate the numbers, and then anything else that's in your advisory kit, which in the book, I give you so much on this. I give you agendas. I give you exactly what to say. I give you tons of stuff. In the program, advisory is an ongoing thing. And when you come into year 2 in the graduate club, if you decide to join our graduate club, we even have Coach the Coach. You can get access to that early. You've got to make application for it. We have got betterinbusiness.global. We can drop that link in. So that's a done for you podcast, a done for you academy with courses and resources. So you get to sell Better in Business programs, okay, that include all of that so that you're bundling up time for money, as well as courses and resources, as well as your expertise, skills, intellectual property, and so on, okay? Because you're not solving problems with your time. You are not solving problems with your time. You are solving problems with your experience, expertise, skills, yeah? And you're using your time, but you're not solving the problem with your time. So stop selling time for money. Sell outcomes. Okay, I've coined the phrase outcome billing. Yeah, and what I said just there, listen to it on repeat, write it on your mirror. You're going to have this to listen to podcast style in the car. I listened to education the other day 3 times from one person. Do that with my content, okay? So over on the left-hand side, we've got the systems and team aspect. So systems, nobody will tell you about systems. I remember over the first, my whole career, because nobody's ever told me my whole bookkeeping practice journey, people told me I needed standard operating procedures because they would help me make sure my staff did what they should do. And I thought, well, that makes sense. That's linear. That's not true. So put that aside right now so that you don't make the same mistake as me. So let me explain the mistakes I made. To do that, I'll go to team. So because I believed that, I didn't do any education on how to be an A leader or an A manager, because that's the only way you cultivate an A team. So I was a B leader. I was like a D manager, and I created a B team. A time and joy sucking B team. So here's what I didn't get told, that systems only work when you have a brand, because that's the big picture. And when you learn to turn up unapologetically and put the people pleaser away, that will negatively impact your life. I've been a people pleaser. I'm not anymore. One of my greatest achievements in life, okay? When you are able to truly learn and understand how to turn up as an A leader, an A manager, you will cultivate, lead, and manage an A team that feels like family, okay? And then just to point out a manager has 5 areas of focus that you'll see in my book: plan, organize, staff, direct, control. No apologies, and you will not make friends when you put the manager hat on. Okay, so nobody told me that. And only when you do that will systems work. And with systems, once again, I thought, yeah, we just systems will fix everything. No, they won't fix a B team, and they won't fix things if you can't keep your promise. At the heart and soul, the beating heart of your bookkeeping practice, make no mistake, the beating heart of your bookkeeping practice is promises kept. Yeah? So your ability to 100% relentlessly do what it takes to keep your promise. What's your promise? Your service level agreement. Adam, I'm just learning to stop being a people pleaser. Someone described it as gaslighting yourself. Oh, never heard that before. And that was an aha moment. So Amber, people pleasing generally comes from trauma. Okay. It comes from trauma from childhood, and absolutely you need to do the work to work on that. Okay. So a friend of mine that did that, I said to him recently, you need to go on a national no tour. Just start saying no to people. I say it to my sister too, my oldest sister. She can be such a doormat. I'm like, you need to tell more people no. Okay, so yes, Amber, this is the mindset stuff. The mechanics doesn't work if our mindset isn't in shape. We need to work our mindset like a mind gym. All right. So, and happy to keep doing the conversation around helping you with that later. We work on this in the program because we have to. Okay, it's so important. So promises kept is the beating heart of your business. And if I said, what are the veins that the blood runs through? Communication. So these are two, and there's a podcast that I did not too long ago with Claire Beckett on systems and team, and you'll hear her talk about this. Okay. And comms as a secret marketing weapon. Bookkeepers, we love long form emails. Your clients hate them. Stop sending them. Okay. If you email me, you'll get an audio clip back. Okay. So I could do 3 hours of workshops on comms. Okay. So when do we systemize and who should systemize? Nobody tells you this. Everyone tells you create complex systems right at the beginning when you're working on your own. No, I'll tell you what happens in my program, because whether you're joining or not, you have to do this too, okay? So we have done for you standard operating procedures in the program, making it a little bit easier, all right? I don't say it makes everything easier, no, okay? So the way that we work with our clients, so Karen Thompson, for example, get them to a point where they're like, I'm on wait list, I'm so busy. And then I'm just having a look. Thanks, Jeannie. Always been the complex that attract nice insights. Thank you so much. So, so when you're on your own, you can trust yourself to just use basic checklists. You are going to just keep your promises and communicate well. And you're just going to deliver the service level agreement. You know what you're doing. So then what we do is we help our bookkeepers recruit an all-rounder. So they generally need to budget about 30,000 either US dollars or Australian dollars for that. So let's say you've got your revenue to 150,000, then you're going to have to take a 30K drop in order to recruit that. And what I mean by it's not 30K all at once, right? So for example, with Karen Thompson, she's got a 12-week wait list and she's onboarding someone right now, which can take up to 3 months. So she'll have no drop in revenue because by that point, you're already over capacity, okay? So then what we do is, so when to systemize. So when the new person starts, we bring them into the systems and team part of our program and academy, and that person implements all the systems. So you lead, you don't build and implement, you lead. You're not the person to systemize. Nobody ever told me that. Okay, so keep the questions, comments, suggestions going as we move through. So we're 20 minutes left. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move through my slides and just work out, make sure I share exactly what I want to share, because I don't need to share. We've already shared on this. I'm going to come across to that one on my other slides. Okay, so I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this. And these ones are just here for me to refer back to with more ease on how we're going to solve problems. So basically, the next thing in terms of solving these problems, right, as we look at, so for each one of these problems, I want to try and connect to my experience, stories from the tribe, the 3 resources we're using, but it's important for me to understand as much as I can what you're doing right now, what's working and what's not working. So can we all just keep that in mind as we look at the bookkeeping practice blueprint, just like a creative child I birthed. This is like so powerful, okay? So before we go to that, I'll look at the benefits of nailing the blueprint. So the benefit of nailing the left-hand side of the blueprint, which we're going to dive into in a second, is that you'll onboard a higher percentage of prospective clients. Simple, right? Simple doesn't mean easy, okay? But so let's say you have 10 inquiries, and when one of the bookkeepers, when she joined our program, she'd started doing paid ads, but she couldn't convert hardly any of them, and there's reasons for that which we won't go into here. But basically, when you nail that left-hand side, more prospective clients are just going to be desperate to press go to work with you, okay? Number 2 benefit of nailing the left-hand side of this, before we move on to the right-hand side, is you'll onboard them irrespective of price. You'll onboard them at higher rates. So inside the tribe, I asked them for before and after. So they'll say, yay, I just brought on a client for say $10,000 a year. And I say, okay, can you tell me before you joined the program, what would you have done? And they say, well, number one, I might not have converted them at all. So that's that first one. Number two, I would have bought them on at 4,000, 5,000. So you are onboarding at higher rates. And that is servicing the client properly. And you'll create raving fan clients. Trust me now, believe me later. The benefit of nailing, excuse the typo here. I whipped these up after the last event, so excuse the spelling. The benefit of nailing audience database business development, which is over here. So this is a right-hand side of the mind map, is you'll create a pipeline and onboard and upgrade. Okay, because we don't actually need just new clients. Like if you're at the beginning and you don't have clients, you need new clients, yeah. But once you've got some clients, actually what you need is new business. A new business comes from existing clients or new clients. I didn't know that. I thought it was all about getting new clients. So if you're thinking, oh, I never thought of it that way, this is a key takeaway. Generate new business. Focus on new business, because one client could need more. So just as an example, say in my practice and in the practices of my tribe members. So one of my clients, Luke, when I met him many years ago, I don't know, probably 7 years ago, so we onboarded him as a DIY bookkeeping client. That means his wife and him are doing all the bookkeeping, and we're just supporting them to, do the heavy lifting around payroll. We check their file every month, not a lot in it, so we were charging him out at the time, maybe $200 way back 7 years ago a month. Now that service is about, say, $300 or so a month to support a DIY bookkeeper. Now Luke still has that same DIY service, but he pays us $1,000 a month. So you can see he's gone from $200 a month to $1,000 a month. I didn't have to, thank you, and I'll explain a bit more about it. So I didn't have to find a new client, right? So an existing client is 10 times more likely to buy from us than a new client. So all I did was I used my product ladder, my welcome line nurture assets, to give him value and help him self-assess his need to step up to advisory. And the advisory that Luke does with me to this day, wonderful human, business buddy, client, he does, so we invest, so my right-hand Joe investigates the numbers every month to keep him on track and accountable, but does it with his team because we've grown him a lot. And then on a monthly basis, he catches up with me to do business strategy around the operations of his business and what I call corporate coaching, because he loves catching up with me just for support. And then he also has access to the Better in Business Academy courses and resources. Okay. And for that, he's on our old rate. So he's still on our $1,000 a month rate for that. So that's an hour with my right hand and an hour with me. So for 2 hours a month, he is our happiest raving fan client. Okay. Our least happy clients are always going to be the ones just getting basic bookkeeping and paying the least. Okay, so there's a mindset shift. Now that client, Luke, I've helped him go from a business that was doing really well to scaling and basically cornering the market for his industry. He was at golf recently and somebody said, how have you done it? Like, you've just got all this time off. And he said, there's just one woman you need to speak to, and that's Jeannie Savage. Now, my rates are such these days. I'm not taking any more one-on-ones. I don't have the burning desire for that. My burning desire is now I'm keeping the existing coaching clients, but I want to just coach bookkeepers now. Okay, so the moral of the story is we can generate new business, right? Not just bring on new clients. So that's exactly what happens in the tribe as well. So they have all these welcome line nurture assets that they use with their entire database, and drip, 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 drip. Their clients are upgrading to investigate the numbers and then end-to-end strategy. Okay. So just keeping my eye on the time. So this is good because this is kind of the last section of what we're doing here. So the benefits and of systems and team, promises kept, which is retention and referrals. If you break your promises, even fraction, like little fraction, like infractions of promises, your clients won't tell you, but they won't be happy. The relationship will be damaged and they'll be looking elsewhere. Please make a note of this, and I've done podcasts on it. There are 3 parts of a buying decision. There are 3 reasons. There are 3 things that Luke thinks about every month when that money hits my account: relationship, convenience, and price. And there's a 10 out of 1 to 10 on each one. So for Luke, price is irrelevant because he makes, like if we charge him $12,000 a year, and you might think, that sounds like you're making $500 a month. So I'm not selling hours, I'm selling outcomes. Now, if I charge Luke $12,000 a year, but he can see that he's making 100, 200, 300,000 and lots of time wealth, it's not a cost, it's an investment. So price has now become completely irrelevant. And relationship and convenience. We're very convenient because we communicate well and we keep our promises. And the relationship is a 10 out of 10. Okay, what happens to a lot of bookkeepers is they're keeping clients for convenience. So that's a broken, shakeable business. And then they scratch their head when they leave. I hear bookkeepers say, I've had this client for ages and he just left, like he just went elsewhere. I don't know. They're probably keeping them on convenience. I've got a prospective client right now who wants to come across, and he's not, because it's inconvenient to leave the bookkeeper that he does not like and he desperately wants to leave. So we can keep work on convenience and we don't want to. We can keep work because we're a bit cheaper than everyone. Well, that'll add up to busy, not thriving. Okay. So scale and get time well. So systems and team, absolutely, you need them to scale. If you get to full capacity working 40 hours a week, unless you bring on team who are using good systems, you can't get your time back. And you'll become more profitable through efficiency, like reduced keystrokes. And tech does that, okay? We won't go into that too much. So just looking at this and looking at the time, I just want to do my best. Dave says, a prospect recently told me that every month when his bookkeeper charges his credit card, he thinks about firing her. Oh, the reason I love that is we have a very disruptive headline that we use here in our marketing for the strategic bookkeepers. So if you'll listen to the Better in Business .global podcast, you'll hear this. So we encourage entrepreneurs to fire their bookkeeper. I'm a disruptor. That's my writing style. Fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper so you can enjoy an investment rather than a cost. Okay, even if that bookkeeper is me, fire me and hire me as a strategic bookkeeper. Okay, make no mistake, nobody values basic bookkeeping. Nobody wants to pay for it. It's a grudge purchase because they need it. Okay, so make sure the future of bookkeeping is strategic bookkeeping, and it's not coming, it's here. Strategic bookkeeping in the eyes of your clients is your ability to take those numbers and use them. Bookkeeping is preparing the accurate numbers. Strategic bookkeeping is using them. Okay, and the future is here. And the book will help you, the podcast will help you, and the program is there too. Thank you so much. I'm just looking at Suzanne's. My client at $20 an hour is exacerbating hours, 3 hours the last 2 months, all while standing to do the work. He consistently tried to do it himself. Yeah, because they're trying to save money. When I finally showed him the audit log, it revealed the bank overrode his work. He has decided to go back to his other bookkeeper and will use me as needed. He uses a Mac and small keyboard, part-time job. Yeah, it's nobody values bookkeeping, right? I'm just going to have a look at the next one. Yeah, hiring a bookkeeper is a business expense. Correct. A prospect recently told me, yeah, okay, I've seen that one as well. Okay, So we've only got 8 minutes left, but I am going to hang around for questions and just go over a little bit as we need to, because I've got time. But if you need to go right on time today, that's okay. In this workshop, I don't share really anything on the program. If you need a link to the program priority list, Pedra can drop that in. Right now, I'm just going to go through these things, okay? So we've talked about brand in the last one. You can see it there. So the foundation of your bookkeeping practice is brand. Over here, before you answer the door to a prospect, gosh, I wish I had have known this. This is what I got wrong in my first 5 years. And this is what 9 out of 10 bookkeepers, more than that, are just failing at. If everyone fails at it at the beginning, you have the opportunity to discover today how to not fail at this, okay? So before you answer the door to a prospect, nail the left-hand side of this mind map. That way you'll avoid building busy rather than thriving. Now, if I haven't been clear on what busy rather than thriving is, please let me know in the chat, okay? So in order to maximize the opportunity when a prospect knocks on the door, you want to have your brand in place, as we talked about before. You want to have good financial management. To do that, you need to be the A leader and the A manager, not a people-pleasing manager. Okay. You need to have products and a strategic products and pricing system. We'll come back to that in a second. You need a product ladder and you need a conversion process. So this mind map is a diagnostics tool for you, and it's a checklist. So I want you to look at this, right? You're going to have it for after this workshop. And I want you to look through and ask yourself, what have I got dialed in and what haven't I got dialed in? You know, therefore, what do I need to learn and build? It's simple. Simple doesn't mean easy, but this is going to be so powerful if you can do that. Look at it every day. I print multiple copies out and I have it everywhere. Okay. So we know brand, financial management is making sure the numbers stack up. So you should be able to make a 66% gross profit with staff and software. And you should be able to take a 33% of your revenue take home pay once you've scaled into a practice with revenue, with staff, with systems, etc. Okay, so I don't have to work really in my practice. I don't have time. I have to run the strategic bookkeeper. I only do the high-end coaching clients, and it gives me that six-figure income and obviously all the time. Okay, so that's what the right financial management will do. If you choose to make a mistake around financial management, key mistakes I make is people hiring, I'm going to be totally brutal, okay? People hiring family and paying them rates that the business can't afford, or hiring family before the business can afford it. And then you know, and then because they're a people pleaser and they're coming from a good heart-centered place, they won't make the decision to change it because they don't want to hurt anyone. Put your oxygen mask on first. Profit and cash is oxygen in your business. If it's not there, you won't serve anyone. Okay. So let's have a look here. So basically, products and pricing, I really want to explain. So in the chat box, could you let me know if you're in practice, if you're pricing by the hour? If you're conceptual, are you planning on pricing by the hour? And I'll let you know now, no. I just recorded 3 podcast episodes, 75, 76, 77, 3 on pricing. They are phenomenal. Please do listen to them. And that's going to explain everything that's in products and pricing. Okay, so those, great, conceptual, great. Okay, so with products and pricing, what you need is a smart, simple suite of products. You need a robust pricing strategy, incorporating advisory. So the best way to explain that is like a before and after. So before I understood this, when a prospect knocked on the door, I'd say, what do you need? The most dangerous question you can ever ask anyone. Never ask a prospect that again. Ask them, tell me about yourself. I'm not going to go into why. Trust me now, believe me later. My tribe inside the program is like, how is that one little thing so transformational? One thing I will tell you is, what do you need? We'll lead them down a road where they ask you, what do you cost? What do you charge? Tell me about yourself will generally completely remove that when combined with a structured needs analysis, okay, which is the done for you inside the program. So when you say, what do you need? What we all tend to do is go, okay, great, thanks. They give you a mix of bookkeeping, accounts, administration. I need my dog walked. They tell you everything. And you put that on a piece of paper and you smack a price on it. There you go. There's my promise. I'll do that. And you repeat and you repeat every time someone rings you and says, you know, you say, what do you need? So you create this complex, tailored, individual, bespoke packages for everyone. What you need is actually packages the same. So you need 2 packages that suit everyone. End-to-end bookkeeping package, DIY support package. Yes, you need a file health check. Yes, you need a catch-up rectification. Same thing that serves everyone the same. It works in my practice. It works in my tribe. My tribe tells me, oh my goodness, this is transformational. And then we show you, like, yes, you need training package. I give you all that. But then the only other thing you really need is the out of scope pieces, and they are added on when required. Okay, so this is a simple, smart, simple suite of productized services. Okay, yet again, that's the benefits. Okay, the benefit of these are just so many. All right, so you need a robust pricing strategy. You need a pricing calculator. You need minimum job charges for one-off and ongoing work, and all of that is explained in the podcast. So what you don't want to do is just have a, well, I fix price. So if I call you and I say, right, well, I just want this work done quarterly. It's only going to take you an hour. It's really easy. And you go, okay, it's $180 an hour, $180 a quarter. Oh, I'm charging $180 an hour. I'm going to kill it. You are going to fail. You've got a broken system and a broken practice. I explain that in the podcast because you're not using minimum viable job charges for the 2 categories that exist, which is one-off jobs and ongoing jobs. And I give you all that in the podcast, okay? Let's have a look here. Thank you so much, Jeannie. I have to leave. Really appreciate how useful that was. Fantastic from Amber. Adam was an advisor for 10 plus years. Pricing on time makes 0 sense, right? Value-based pricing is much more sustainable and profitable. But I definitely didn't understand early on this minimum viable job charges. And I won't tell you the story today of how I developed it, but it was one. Somebody asked me in an earlier event yesterday, like, what were my biggest kind of learnings? And that, you know, I didn't say that one yesterday, but that was one of the most mind-blowing, mind explosion learnings, was that if somebody needed me for 15 minutes, it needed to be $500. If you need me for 15 minutes now, it's $1,300. Because I have minimum job charges. I just said to a friend, I can help you with that problem and I will solve it in 15 minutes as long as you are prepared for my $1,300 fee. Because I sell outcomes, not hours. I don't sell my time, not at all. I help bookkeepers and entrepreneurs go from 0, living out of their savings, to 6 and 7 figures. I don't sell my time. And you sell pillar 1 for success, up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping. You'll hear that in the Better in Business podcast, okay? All right, so let me have a look at the time. So we're going over a bit. So if you need to leave, please do so. But I'm just going to go over a bit and explain a few more things. Please continue the comments, questions, suggestions in the chat box, okay? So let me know if you, so the last one was incorporating advisory. You need to sell advisory from the get-go. And in those 3 pricing podcasts, I tell you exactly what that looks like. I show you what another bookkeeper, who most bookkeepers would think are doing well, is doing, and then what I'm doing. I show you exactly what they would make annually on a particular productized service, and what I would make on that same productized service. And usually it's between 2 and 10 times more than they're making. And my clients are happier and not cost focused. And their client is cost focused. Okay. So don't believe that charging less creates better outcomes or happier clients. It does not. Okay. So you need to be able to sell and deliver advisory from the get-go, investigate the numbers and more. Okay. So product ladder. Have you heard of a product ladder? In the chat box, I'd love to know. Have you ever heard of a product ladder? And as I wait for that, I'm just going to, great, fantastic. So it's reasonably simple and we see them everywhere. Your core product is what you sell, your bookkeeping, right? Succession is more the advisory. You can sell it from the get-go, but advisory is where you solve more problems for your clients. Remember the story of Luke, $200 a month to $1,000 a month? Because I solved more problems for him. That's why he's so happy and a raving fan client, okay? Because I kept solving problems. So what's next on the menu for your client? Your content is the helpful information that you provide free in your website, your social media, and so on, okay? And yeah, so Susie, great, not specifically in that way. They're known as ascending transaction models and all these other things. They're old school. Yeah, but you need one too in your bookkeeping practice. All good. Thanks, Randy. I try my best to stay on time. We did last night. But yeah, if anyone can stay, great. Adam, and feel free to connect with me, Adam. Hello at the strategicbookkeeper.global would be awesome. So product ladder. So your welcome line nurture assets are probably the if I had to say one was most powerful, because they're all very powerful, I'd say welcome line nurture assets. And look, I love them also because I do love brand marketing and selling. I love helping people make decisions that benefit them. And selling is actually helping people make a decision that will benefit them. Okay, so welcome line. So say in the program, for example, we give you about 10 or so welcome line nurture assets. And that is simply a low cost, low risk product, or it can be a no cost product that seeks to help you with the outcome you're looking to achieve. So let's say do better in business. And you get to feel and experience the value. So a simple example, you must all do this, right? So when somebody comes to you and they say, all right, I need help, and you realize, oh, the books are behind, so we need to fix that first, you'd normally swing into selling them that catch-up rectification. No, stop doing that. Sell them a file health check. Okay, so that's a key welcome line nurture asset. You've all got it. You all know how to do a file health check. You all know how to look at an accounting file and see what's happening. To see, is the bank reconciliation done? Is the payroll clearing account out? And if you're lacking any technical skills, let me know. I can connect you with people that can support you with that. The technical skill is the easiest part to get right. My bookkeepers sometimes say, I'm employing someone better than me. That's what I teach them. Okay. So you're going to sell a file health check. So that, let's say that's $100. That'll be the hardest sale you ever make. Because a prospective client is the hardest person to begin a relationship with. But once that person engages in a low cost or a no cost product with you, so a no cost product is my podcast, is my free business fundamentals training, is my business health check, is my now future analysis, is my 7 Deadly Sins ebook. So all of these things are done for you and given to you inside the program, just so you know, or you can use my book to build them out. The 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins ebook, I co-author with you to give you more profile. What other welcome line nurture assets have we got? An annual planning session. We've got some really powerful ones, not quantity, quality. The 10 that we have are, you're given them and explained how to use them and when. But you sell that welcome line. So by the time they do that, they've already floated around in the customer journey. They have, so let's say an accountant says, you should look at using Genie. Do they just ring me? Not in this day and age. They go, oh yeah, okay. They go to my social media first. She's posting regularly. She looks professional, credibility. They check my reviews out online. Oh, everybody's saying good things about her. They go to my website. Then they might grab my business health check, my 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins book, start listening to my podcast. So by the time they reach out to me, They've already decided this person could possibly solve my problem. I now need to find out more. But if you go trying to sell them, so our catch-up rectification phase 1 is $1,300. If I try and sell that person a $1,300 product, I'm less likely to bring them on board than, thanks, Suzanne, than if I sell them a $100 welcome line nurture asset. Okay. So then once they buy that, they're 10 times more likely to buy a core product. Okay. Conversion process, pretty simple. When you do all the moving parts, it works. When you don't, it doesn't. Like literally, I work with bookkeepers and they say it's not working. I say, are you selling the welcome line? No. Are you doing the video sales letter? No. Do those. Do them, and they say it's all working now. Okay, so that's the left-hand side, and I'll wrap everything up a little bit quickly with the right-hand side. Just remembering we can continue this conversation together in my Facebook group and so on. Okay, so but these are the 5 definitive ways that you find audience. Please don't try paid and summit until your bookkeeping practice is rock and roll. Okay, because they won't work. You'll just waste money. When you find audience, so some bookkeepers manage to find someone who needs the problem solved, but here's where they fall over. They don't keep in touch with them. So when you find someone who needs their problem solved, they'll either buy quickly or later, maybe not at all, but they'll refer someone to you when you're getting all this right. So you need to nurture them with all those welcome line nurture assets, and then you need to keep in touch with them through database marketing. So for example, we send our podcast out fortnightly. Then you need to actively, so if passively was I send Tom my podcast, actively is every now and then I shoot Tom a text message just to check in and say hi. Manners marketing, authenticity marketing, and then pull everything together with the standard operating procedures. Okay. So that's a wrap. That is kind of pretty much everything I wanted to cover today. So the final thing really, it was a bit of a check-in. What have you learned so far? What action are you going to take and what questions do you have? This is a system built by a bookkeeper for bookkeepers. You can do this, okay? Thank you so much to everyone that came along. It was such a fun workshop. I feel like I gave you a lot of great stuff to use for the next 5 years. Forever. There's a lot to do when we're building a business. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. In Australia, I don't know if you guys say this, we say, I'll catch you on the flip side. So I'm going to leave you with, I'll catch you on the flip side, and I'm going to see you all soon. Okay, my friend, now it is time to take action. So what are you going to do with what you learned today? The way I see it, you've got 2 options. You can go it alone to try and save some money, or you can back yourself and go for it and join my tribe. And let me tell you, we are knocking it out of the ballpark. That's not a sales pitch. That is me serving you, dare I say, courageously. To find success, I 100% know you need the mechanics, which is like the keys to the kingdom, but you also need to get your mindset right and be super productive. And these are all things I help you with inside the program. I could go on about this forever because I really want this for you. Have a prosperous week, and I'll see you in the next episode.